Picture this. Could a prestigious UK university, a respected household name in education, just suddenly lose its ability to sponsor your student visa? Imagine having the perfect grades, the funds all sorted out, the burning ambition, only to find the door completely locked. Sounds impossible, right? We naturally assume that academic prestige equals absolute security, but under a brand new, extremely strict set of rules from the UK government, that assumption is actually totally dead. Today, academic excellence alone absolutely cannot protect a student visa if a university fails to meet the government's ruthless new compliance metrics.
Welcome to The Explainer. I am really excited to dive into this material with you today because we're looking at a massive shift in international education, the new UKVI RAG system. Some folks in the sector are actually calling this the hidden trapdoor for international students. So our goal right now is to completely demystify this highly technical framework. We're going to cut through all that bureaucratic jargon, look straight at the hard data, and uncover exactly how these behind-the-scenes metrics could dictate your entire academic future.
All right, here's our roadmap for the explainer today. 1. The new RAG system. 2. 3 metrics, 0 margin. 3. The worst metric rule. 4. Frozen CAS and red flags. 5. Impact on students. And finally, 6. Protect your admission.
Let's jump right in. Part 1. The new RAG system and the end of the BCA era.
Okay, so the landscape of UK higher ed has completely shifted. The old basic compliance assessment era, it's gone. As of June 1, 2026, the Home Office activated what's called the UKVI RAG System. Basically, it's a rolling compliance framework that rates every single UK university holding a student sponsor license as either green, amber, or red. The government's philosophy here is crystal clear. They've explicitly stated that sponsorship is a privilege. It is not a right. And to enforce that, they decided they needed much faster, more precise tools to restrict universities if their compliance data slips. So they've moved away from slow annual reviews to continuous, real-time monitoring.
Moving on to Section 2, 3 metrics, 0 margin, razor-thin thresholds.
So how are these universities actually being graded now? Well, look at the sheer drop in tolerance from the old rules to this new reality. It is intense. Under the old BCA, a uni was allowed a visa refusal rate of up to 10% before anyone took serious action. Today, to stay in the safe green band, that refusal rate has to be slashed to below 4%. Then there's the student enrollment rate, meaning the percentage of students who actually show up on campus after getting their visa. That jumped from a minimum of 90% to over 96%. And course completion? That wasn't even formally tracked for compliance in the old system. Now, a university must ensure over 92% of their enrolled students actually finish their degree just to maintain that green status.
Looking at the official UKVI RAG rating table, I really want you to focus on the space between the green and amber bands. It is remarkably narrow. For visa refusals, the difference between being perfectly safe and facing immediate penalties is literally a single percentage point. On enrollment, it's also just one single percentage point. There's absolutely zero margin for normal, everyday variation here. Even a highly responsible, top-tier institution could easily slip if just a handful of students drop out or have their visas denied.
Which brings us to Section 3, the worst metric rule, the trapdoor.
Now, you might be thinking those tight margins are the scariest part, but actually, they aren't even the most dangerous piece of this framework. Walk through this quick step-by-step hypothetical with me to see how the worst metric trapdoor really operates. Normally, when we think of grading, we think of averages, right? Like a great score can pull up a bad score. Not here. Let's say a university has a fantastic 97% enrollment rate. That's step 1, solid green. Step 2, they boast a tiny 3.5% visa refusal rate. Awesome, another solid green. But then we hit step 3. Their course completion rate dips just slightly to 88%. Because that single metric falls into the amber band, the university's overall rating immediately drops to amber. 2 stellar metrics cannot compensate for one that falls below the threshold. One single weak link pulls the entire multi-million-pound institution straight down into the penalty zone.
All right, Section 4, frozen CAS and red flags, when amber means stop.
So what actually happens when a university slips out of the green band? There's this fantastic quote from the higher education policy site, Wonker, that says, "Amber isn't a buffer zone, it's a ledge." I absolutely love this because it perfectly subverts our normal expectations. Usually, amber or yellow means caution, right? Slow down, but keep going. Not here. Under the UKVI RAG system, amber does not mean caution. It means a highly punitive, immediate, and sudden freeze on a university's operations.
The crucial point is understanding the mechanics of these penalties. If a university hits the amber band, their CAS issuance, that's the Confirmation of Acceptance for Studies document that you absolutely must have to get a student visa, is completely frozen. They literally cannot issue any new CAS letters, and to unfreeze it, the head of the university, the vice-chancellor, has to personally attend a UKVI compliance meeting. And what about the red band? Well, that is catastrophic. It means a minimum 10% cut to their CAS allocation with no maximum cap on how much can be taken away. This comes with forced remediation plans and a massively heightened risk of losing their sponsor license entirely.
The official Home Office guidance for red ratings doesn't pull any punches either. It clearly outlines that failing to meet core requirements automatically drops a sponsor into the red category. Now, the text does note that the government reserves the right to apply some operational discretion, sure, but the baseline rule is mandatory, immediate cuts. Make no mistake, the government is not messing around.
Section 5. Impact on international students. The innocent bystanders.
We've talked a lot about the macro level, institutional compliance, university metrics, but let's zoom in on the direct fallout for you, the international student. Take the number 20,600. According to our sources, that's the number of sponsored study visas issued to students from Nepal alone in just the past year. When a country sends that high a volume of students, they become a statistically massive part of a university's data. If even a tiny fraction of those visas are refused, or students from that cohort fail to complete their courses, it directly threatens the university's green status. Basically, major source markets are squarely in the crosshairs of this data-driven policy.
Because universities are so terrified of hitting that amber ledge or falling into the red trapdoor, their behavior is changing radically. Diana Beach from City St. George's, University of London, hit the nail on the head. She notes that the result is overly cautious recruitment, fewer opportunities for legitimate students, and a narrowing of global engagement. Honestly, universities would rather reject a perfectly good, qualified student than risk a tiny fractional increase in their visa refusal rate.
And this brings us to an absolutely critical, hidden danger. Right now, a university's RAG rating is strictly internal. The university knows it and the Home Office knows it, but you do not. This means you could spend months applying, receive a valid offer letter, pay thousands of pounds for a tuition deposit, and be completely unaware that your chosen university is currently stuck in the amber band with their CAS allocation totally frozen. You'd just be stuck, waiting for a visa document that they legally cannot give you.
Okay, Section 6. How to protect your admission. Your survival guide.
Knowing all of this, how do you actually navigate this high-stakes environment? First, you really need to understand the timeline we're living in. The rules were announced back in May 2025 and went live aggressively in June 2026. The completion thresholds, those actually get even tougher in June 2027. But crucially, the official public list of these RAG ratings, where you can just go online and see who's green and who's red, is not expected to be published until summer 2027. So we are currently operating in this blind spot where the rules are punishing universities right now, but the transparency for students just isn't there yet.
Because of that blind spot, you've got to take practical steps immediately. Number one, since the list isn't public, verify university's band status independently before you apply. Talk to certified advisors who monitor this compliance data. 2, directly ask the institution to confirm their CAS pipeline capacity. Put them on the spot. 3, prepare intensely for pre-CAS credibility interviews. Universities are using these AI and human interviews to ruthlessly weed out any risk to their metrics, so passing them is absolutely essential to protect your visa and their rating. 4, ensure every single financial document you submit is flawless. You want to completely eliminate the risk of a technical visa refusal. And 5, apply early because those safe green band CAS spots are going to be more competitive than ever.
All right, we have unpacked a highly complex and deeply impactful system today. This framework forces a massive tension between the government's desire for strict compliance control and the life-changing aspirations of international students. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to consider. Will the RAG system ultimately protect the high educational standards of the UK? Or will its razor-thin margins effectively shut the door on brilliant global talent? Thank you so much for exploring this with me on The Explainer today. Keep asking the tough questions, keep researching your options, and I'll see you next time.